Today, we're going to talk about the State of the Union address, Trump's big speech he gave last night. I'm going to give you my thoughts on some of the things he said and his general approach to it. Then, we're also going to talk about a moment that the Democrats are going to live to regret. I can't wrap my head around this decision that they made, but we'll talk about it all. I got to be honest with you guys, as somebody who's been a political reporter and commentator for years, I hate the State of the Union. I think it's awful. I think it's so boring, especially because there's so much clap time. My ADHD just crashes out, and I'm like, oh my God, we're just sitting here for a full 60 seconds while people stand and clap. The whole thing has devolved into political theater. Basically, everyone's just performing. It's giving like Real Housewives of Washington, D.C. What's she going to wear? What's his pin gonna say? Are they gonna walk out? Is the camera gonna cut to this person? And I'm like, y'all realize we're talking about the people with the nuclear codes, right? And the people who control the largest economy in the world. And it's essentially like Real Housewives of DC. It's all drama, it's all pomp and circumstance, and it's all theater. Nobody's going to change their mind or have some profound insight or implement a new policy. And I actually think we should go back. We should look to history. And until 1913, it was actually not a speech at all. The State of the Union was a letter sent from the president to Congress, and I think we should go back. And I'll get out, maybe I should get out my mug I have somewhere that says, this meeting could have been an email. That's how I feel about the State of the Union. It's a pointless endeavor that really only seeks to divide Americans and give us this opportunity for like partisan political theater. It doesn't really serve a meaningful purpose. And I didn't watch it live. Because what I want to be able to do is watch it in double speed and skip the applause. So I watched it first thing in the morning. I did not stay up and watch it. Instead, I was playing 2K and watching The Pit. And I think that's a much better use of my time. Now, on Trump's speech itself, I will say that I thought it was a very strong performance just from like an oratory perspective, right? He is very much a performer, an entertainer. He is a showman. It was a display of showmanship. That's what I have to say. He read the room. He interacted with the room. He riffed. It was an interesting combination of staying on message and clearly going with prepared remarks, but also ad-libbing here and there, and also kind of responding to people in the room that were acting out and keeping your cool. And honestly, you compare it to like watching Biden's speeches, who is so frail and so old and clearly so struggling to speak. And then you have Trump kind of, and I'm not getting to the substance, of which I have many criticisms, to be clear, but it was kind of an oratory like tour de force. And you just couldn't really, it kind of did quiet the rumors of, is Trump in cognitive decline? Does he have dementia? Obviously, I think he's lost a step like we all do with age, but you couldn't perform that speech the way that he did if you were, a secret dementia patient, the way that some of these like resistance libs insist on Blue Sky or MSNBC. That said, I had some problems with the substance of the speech. There were parts of it I certainly agreed with, but just the inner journalist in me is never going to be okay with the way he kind of rapid fire vomits out factually false statements and falsehoods. And I mean, the speech was a fact checker's worst nightmare. These State of the Union speeches are always dishonest. They're always, like any speech from a politician, rife with spin and misleading claims and stats. But he just straight up says things that are not so in a way that bothers me and I think is worse than most people. And so when he says that he inherited record inflation, not true. Inflation had come down by the time Biden left office. When he says that most states in the country have gas prices below $2.30, it's like objectively not true. I was looking at the AAA website and I actually saw 0 states with an average gas price below $2.30. And the national average was $2.97. And what's frustrating about that is there's plenty of good economic data he could cite, but he has to just say things that aren't true. And I don't know why. This is one of my eternal frustrations with Trump. He's like, even when he's got a strong hand, he still has to bluff. And when you're the president reading prepared remarks, I find it insulting to just like look us in the eye and tell us things that are objectively not correct. Same way when he says, I've brought $18 trillion in investment into the United States. I looked at it. I literally have no idea what that number is supposed to reference, but the 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 actual comparison that they make on the White House website, where they list all the investment, and this is taking at face value their claims, which when you look into it, they're claiming things as investment that are just promises that aren't going to happen or that are trade deals and other things. But like, take it at face value. The White House website says it's like 9 point something trillion, not 18 trillion. So that number is just wrong, even according to his own partisan propaganda. He doesn't even have his own talking points straight. And I find that really frustrating. Like same way he claimed, and this is again a winning issue for him, that woman who was killed, the Ukrainian refugee killed in North Carolina by a man who should not have been on the streets. This horrific example of like a crime story. Trump claimed that the killer was let in through open borders when the killer was an American. Like, what are we doing here? What's going on? That's just not correct. He says like, "Oh, I ended 8 wars," and he's referring to some conflicts that didn't have a war, and it was just a diplomatic dispute. And it's like the list does not check out when you look into it. He claims that tariffs are going to replace the income tax. That's never going to happen. The math there is totally not non-existent. The math is not mathing at all. And so I don't know. I understand that it's kind of just like par for the course with him now, that he's going to do this and he's going to say stuff that is objectively not true, but it's always going to bother me. Now, he's the president. He should be honest with us. He should tell us what's actually happening. And it was sad. I saw like on CNN, they had I think it was CNN, could have been one of the other networks. They had a panel of undecided voters, and they were asking like, what did you like from the speech? One of the guys goes, "Oh, well, I liked learning that we have 18 trillion in investment coming in under his policies." It's like, no, we don't. Even if you think we have trillions, that's not a real number. And I just find this disheartening and maddening. And it's just like he gets away with it for some reason, that when anyone else does it, we all kind of collectively call them out and fact check them and snap at them. But with him, it's kind of just like such a fire hose of stuff that you can't keep up. Now, and none of that is to say that like he didn't have some very effective points. I think he certainly did. He focused on issues that are winning issues for him, like immigration and crime heavily. He talked about, and I'm not going to get into this part of it in great detail, but he talked about and he highlighted somebody who had been secretly transitioned in a blue state as a kid and their parents weren't told. And those are the kind of issues that literally turn parents into Trump voters. So those are points that he hits home. But on the economy stuff, it really is. And we saw this under Biden because he pulled this over and over again, where he would pee on your leg and tell you it's raining when it comes to the economy. Oh, inflation is just transitory. Well, it's just we're actually having a booming economy. And they would just insult your intelligence and lie to you and use half truths or misleading statistics to paint a picture that's just not so. And that when people's material reality that they're observing and feeling all around them does not reflect, and your response is just tell them, oh, you just don't understand, it's actually great. Like Trump goes on a little riff where he makes fun of the concept of affordability, and what he's trying to say, I do actually understand. What he's trying to say is that Democrats never cared about affordability, and now they're saying that word all the time because it's focus tested or poll tested or whatever. That may well be true. But when people are struggling to get by and prices are still going up, not by as much as they were a few years ago, but they're still going up, people are not going to take it well when you start making fun of affordability. Like that is just not a good look for the president. And so I thought it was an impressive speech in terms of a performance. I don't, once again, I just don't really believe in the concept of the State of the Union address. I do think it should be abolished. And I'm sick of the partisan cheerleaders who are like, it was the best speech I've ever heard, and blah, blah, blah. But then the other side of the holding up the stupid signs and the pins and all of this, and the refusing to clap for obviously good things that any sane person should clap for. Yeah, that's also dumb and bad. And some of these Democrats, I mean, I don't know, they're just in shambles trying to figure out the way to respond to this presidency. And I don't have all the answers for them, but I can tell them what they're doing now is not working. And not at all, actually.